Welcome back. In this video, we are going to understand about the rebasing of modules. By module, we mean EXEs and DLLs. In the previous videos, we saw that every EXE and DLL has a preferred base address. Since all the DLLs have a fixed base address, so at the runtime, loader need to perform the relocation operation for these DLLs. And this thing causes a delay of loading the EXEs and DLLs and impacts the overall performance at the load time. So we will understand that how rebasing can help us to improve this performance. First of all, in this video, we will see where we can see or we can set those relocation settings. To see those relocation settings, you need to go to the properties of your project. Under the properties, go to the linker section, and under the linker section, go to the advanced section. Under the advanced section, you can find this out, fixed base address. You will see that either this base address is empty or it has been set to no, and this is the default setting. If the base address is not fixed, then it means the relocation information will be added to your EXE or the DLL, and hence the linker adds this section, which is known as the relocation section under the header section. Now, we will see what will happen if we set it to yes. First of all, we will see what are the advantages of doing that. The first advantage is that the size of the executable or the image will become less because there will be no relocation section in your image. So the size will be smaller and the loading will be faster. But loading will be successful only when you have only one EXE, that is obvious, and there is only one DLL which is dependent on this EXE, on which this EXE is dependent, to be very precise. So if there is only one dependent library, then your EXE and the DLL will be loaded successfully. But if you have set it to yes and you have more than one DLLs which need to be loaded, then in that case your EXE will not be loaded. So if we discuss about the disadvantages, then what will happen that the image will not be loaded because this section is not available in case you have more than one DLLs to be loaded in memory. So this is the disadvantage. So what we need to do, how we can make the performance better? For that, Rebase utility comes to a rescue. So first of all, what is the Rebase utility? Rebase utility helps to set the relocation addresses for the various modules, or you can say the DLLs and EXEs, to be loaded in virtual address space. And how does it do? It stimulates creating a virtual address space when you run the Rebase utility. It loads the executable and the dependent libraries into that virtual address space. And while loading, it parses the relocation section for each of the DLLs and decides the relocation addresses. It finds out the new preferred base addresses and then sets the preferred relocated addresses into the header section of the images. In this way, it sets the preferred base addresses for all the DLLs and the EXE beforehand, and hence at the runtime you don't need to perform the operation of relocation, or you can say your loader of the operating system does not need to perform the relocation operation, and hence the loading will be faster. Now, what are the recommendations to use the Rebase utility? The first recommendation is that you should run the Rebase utility at the end of build cycle to avoid the relocation operation at runtime and hence improve the load time for executables. The second recommendation is that you should not run the rebase on the DLLs which are shipped with Microsoft OS, because Microsoft already ships the DLL images by running the rebase on each of its DLLs. Now, the last line shows you the rebase command. You need to run the rebase command with the set of image file names. So it will be exe name and the dependent DLL's names. If you want to see all the options, then you can refer this slide. This I have taken from the Jeffrey's book on the Windows programming. You can take a snapshot of this. Thank you.